This week's edition of Church Media Design TV is sponsored by the Playback Drive. Welcome to another edition of Church Media Design TV, tips, tricks, and how-to for you, the church media designer. I'm your host, Brad Zimmerman, and I'm joined every week by my favorite bobbleheaded friends. You got it right. We got Jamie and Adam from the Mythbusters, we got Dwight Schrute, Little Whitey, and of course, Jesus Christ, the Son of the Lord Most High. Well, that's what this show is all about. I don't say that name in vain and say that as a joke. This show is all about how to use the media that surrounds us to help share the most important story, and that is the story of Jesus Christ. Now, it's not the story of bobblehead Jesus Christ, but the risen King Jesus Christ, and that's what this show is all about. And I want to help you use all of those media and resources, all those things that you find to help share that story and help present that story. And we're doing that this week. We're going to be taking some stuff from online, some free resources, combining it with After Effects and making some cool motion loops. So I think it'll be a cool way for you guys to see, oh, I can think about this differently. This is another way to make loops, and I think it's going to be a fun loop. You can check it out here. This is what we're making this week, as well as we're talking about a bunch of After Effects in our news and our stockpile. So if you haven't jumped into After Effects and you have it, but you're still afraid of it, or you've opened it and it still seems overwhelming, I encourage you to go over to videocopilot.net/basic to find basic training there. There's just tons of great stuff on Andrew Kramer's website to get you started with After Effects, and then you'll be more comfortable with my tutorials and everybody else's online. So if my favorite bobbleheaded friends are ready, let's get into it. Well, this week we have a little news for you, and again, it's After Effects related, and these are some updates to some really cool things. And the first one is the background renderer. Now, background renderer, what it does is allow you to render in the background inside After Effects so you can keep working without having to have your renders interrupt you. So you can check this out. AE Scripts and Lloyd Alvarez, I think is his name, who made this, has just updated it. There's 2 new versions, and now there's kind of a cost associated with it. But the Pro version allows you to do some really cool stuff. Plus, there's a 26-minute training video on how to use it, and the AE renderer's notification on your iPhone and all those kind of things. So I encourage you to check that out, because that's a great resource there. So you can find the link in the show notes for that one. As well as Video Copilot just came out with Pro presets for optical flares. Now, optical flares are their lens flare plugin for After Effects. It's a very low cost. I think it cost $100, so it's pretty cheap. This is one of the few plugins that I actually purchase, and Pro presets are really cool. So we're going to check out a promo for Pro presets, and then you'll see a whole lot more. So a really cool package. You can check out here all the other, there's 50 all new lens flare presets, 10 template projects, 3 video tutorials, so you can check out some of these different ones here. Some really nice looking realistic lens flares that look a lot more, real than the cheesy ones inside After Effects or Photoshop. Plus, you get these free template projects that are really cool. And then on top of it all, he's giving you 7 Typography Pro fonts, which is a really cool font pack that is good for anybody. So you can check out all of this stuff, and you can see how he actually based these from real lens flares and made these all and that kind of thing. So you can bundle them together or just get that preset, so you can find that over at videocopilot.net. So there's some news for you. Well, let's reach into the stockpile and grab some great resources for you and your church. And all of these resources, like I said before, are After Effects related. And this first company has been around for a really long time. They've been producing stuff that sometimes I've absolutely hated, and other times I'm like, this is awesome. And this ends on more of the awesome side. And they're called Digital Juice. You can head over to their website and you can find out that they have the Motion Designer's Toolkit. And they actually have 7 volumes, and you can get 50% off right now on this January offer. But if you check out one of these sets, so this is Design Toolkit 7, and they have, not only do they have all of these things pre-rendered, but they also have the original Compound After Effects project, so you can see how they made this. You could go in and redo it or change it up a little bit. Plus there's over 140 textures and there's 580 pre-rendered animations. So really cool stuff there. There's tons of stuff in all of these volumes. The next one is from AE Toots Plus, and this is a great way to learn how to do some of those animations. And this is an animated arrow to rule them all, and this is kind of a roundup of a bunch of different places that you can learn how to do arrow animations inside After Effects and different tools and tricks to make that happen for you a little faster. So that's a really cool article. Tons of great information in there if you're trying to figure that one out. And then last but not least, this is from Gray Machine, Harry Frank's website. We've talked about him before, but he just contracted some people to do some music for him, and he calls this his Health and Fitness volume. It's Commercial Music Library Volume 1. Now, it's $90, but it comes with 20 tracks in 15, 30, and 60-second edits. And you can hear all of them on the website. Now, these are very techno, I will say that, but these can be used way more than health and fitness. These could be awesome bumper videos, especially for youth ministry or for kids or something like that. So we'll take a listen to a couple of these here real quick. So as you can see, those audio clips could be used for tons of different things, not just health and fitness. So make sure to check those out at Harry Frank's website, Gray Machine. Check out that AE Toots Plus article on how to animate all sorts of stuff. And if you want to get yourself started, make sure to pick up a Motion Designer's Toolkit over at Digital Juice. Well, before we move on, let's say thank you to our sponsor of the Playback Drive. Now, the Playback Drive, if you don't know about it, we talked about it a long time ago here on the show, but it is an awesome drive to get you started in visual worship or to keep you going in visual worship. This is an external hard drive chucked full of tons of content, from triple wides to stills and high definition and standard definition footage that are great for visual worship. If we head over to their website, you can see on here, it works on Mac and PC. There's 320 different videos and images. Plus it works in PowerPoint, Pro Presenter, Pro Video Player, Keynote, Easy Worship, and Media Shout. So pretty much every presentation software you would try to use on whatever platform this drive is going to work for. We can check out all of the content here. They have a ton of great high-def videos and standard def, and then there's some sweet triple wides in here that would be awesome for triple wide content, as well as a ton of stills. But if you head over to their website in the month of January and you pick up a upgraded playback drive, which basically just means it has an eSATA port, it's got FireWire 800, it's an upgraded external hard drive, it's going to treat you better in the long run faster, especially eSATA. It's going to run just like an internal drive. If you pick up one of these upgraded drives, you're going to get Igniter Backs Plus Volume 7. Now, if you know anything about Igniter, they make some awesome videos. You can check out here some previews of all of the Igniter backs that you're going to get, and there's a ton more beyond this, but some great triple wide content as well as regular content. So if you want to pick up that as well as your upgraded playback drive, or you want to find out more about the playback drive, head over to playbackdrive.com. Well, today we're going to be jumping inside After Effects to create this background. Now, I got the idea for this because, I was seeing some different things on the web that I was like, hey, maybe I could combine that with After Effects to, you know, make background creation a little easier. So let's jump over to the web, and we're going to get started. We're going to actually combine a background generator for websites, or at least that's the way it's intended to be used, to create seamless backgrounds inside After Effects. So this is Beachy Patterns. Now Beachy Patterns is a background generator. There's a lot of different background generators online. This one had some things that I really enjoyed about it. So let's take a look here. You have a few different things to get you started. First off, the background you're seeing right now is actually being generated by what you can hit the eyeball, and it's going to preview whatever this is on there. So we're going to go through and just mess around with a couple different things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our canvas size. Now, it actually has a texture over it that I don't really want. I'm going to set a texture myself later, so I don't really want this texture in there now. So we're just going to click over here, use their little tool, and get rid of the texture. Then I'm going to set the size of this to 150. Now it's locked these together, so it's a perfect 150 by 150 square, much easier to tile, and you'll see why that comes into play in a little while. So we have our size set up of our tile, so now we can go back to our colors. Now for the foreground, I'm just going to type 5 or 6 Fs, which is white, pure white, and then I'm going to do the background color of pure black, which is all zeros. And we should have a perfect black and white background and foreground. So now we can flip over to our image, and we can take our image opacity, and I'm going to turn this all the way up. Again, this is a web app that sometimes doesn't want to work perfectly. So there's our image is now 100%, and our image scale, we can mess around with that later, but you can see that it does live updates for it. It's a really powerful little tool here. So now we can go through here and figure out which thing we want to have repeat. Now I'm going to go for more of a floral, viney look that you would get in an old house. So I'm going to go with, you know, this pattern here. And we can, you know, scale it up or down. We could have it be really connected, or we could have it be really not connected. I'm going to do, you know, something right about here, so 77%. We could mess with the rotation if we want to, you know, so we could do a different degree, so we could have it go this way instead of that way, or we could do something at like 45. And I think you can just click to these different preset degree amounts and it will go there. So 0 is good for me, and if we want to preview this, we can preview it behind here and we can see, does that kind of look the way we want it to? And I'm thinking that's pretty much what the look that I want to go for. So next all we have to do is hit download, and we're going to download that image. So next we're actually going to jump inside After Effects and animate this moving and recolor it and texture it and do all of those things there. But we've used this web app for an unintended use. Well, it's intended to make wallpapers, but we're going to make wallpapers that move, and we're going to make video, not websites. So you just got to keep your eyes open and your mind open to how can you repurpose one tool for another usage. So let's jump inside After Effects. So now inside After Effects, I'm going to just import that new image that we got here, so it gives it some crazy naming convention, and so now it's in here, and you can see that it's exported a 150 by 150 square. So now let's hit the new composition button, and we'll call this our wallpaper comp, and we're going to make this 1280 720, and then we're going to make sure our frame rate's at 30. Yet again, you don't want to use drop frames for your loops. You need to make sure it's at 30 frames per second. It's just going to make things a lot easier for you. It doesn't matter what our background color is, and I'm going to hit OK. So now I'm just going to drag this down into my timeline, and as you can see here, we have our we have our little square there. So what we need to do now is actually go through and tile this. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. So inside After Effects, we could go to Effect, but again, I like to say everything's a right click away. So we're going to right click in the Effects controls. We're going to go to Stylize, and we could either do CC Reptile, or we could do Motion Tile, and I'm going to do Motion Tile. Now there's a few different settings here. We have tile width and height, which is basically saying, how wide do you want this tile to begin with. But what we want to mess around with is our output width and height. So if I change my output width to say 300, which is divisible by 150, you'll see that we have 3 times the original size. And if I do the same for our height, now we have 3 times the height. So what we want to do is we want to stay in multiples of 150, and we want to scale this out to fit in the whole frame here. So I'm going to do output width, and I'm just going to keep going, and we're going to do, I think we're going to do 900 as the closest divisible of 150. And then for height, we could do 450, but it doesn't quite make it, so we're going to have to jump up all the way to 600. So now we have this fully filling the frame, and now we can actually do our motion. So let's get the motion out of the way, and then we can do our coloring and all of that stuff afterwards. So the next effect we're going to use is we're going to use distort, and we're going to use offset. Now what offset does is it actually offsets the image within itself. Now this is why we had to make sure our motion tile was set correctly, and I'll show you why. Because I can take this offset and I can just move this around, and you see that it's just kind of, it goes on forever. But if I would have done, you know, our output width to less than, you know, I did it to 850, you can see that we all of a sudden get weird seams in here. So we have to make sure our output width and height are divisible by 150 for it to look right. So now that I have that in place, I'm going to reset this offset effect, and I'm actually going to set it to 0. And again, our animation, if we keep in account the 150s, we can do our animation amount. So let's say, you know, this is our starting position. Where's our little offset dot here? So it's right here in the corner. Let's say we want to move up and to the left. So I'm just going to move up and to the left a little bit. And then I'm going to just put these to the closest 150 amount. So I'm going to do negative 150 for this one. And I'm going to do, you know, negative 450 for this one. And now if we throw down a keyframe at 30 seconds, and then we go back to the beginning and hit reset, and that's automatically going to place a keyframe for us. If we hit U on our keyboard, we'll be able to see both of those keyframes. If we jump back and forth between them, we should see a perfect loop. Now we're seeing a little problem here in the window where we're seeing a little issue. This actually has to do with our preview. If we turn this to full, you'll see that we don't have that problem in between. We only have it at this half quality that we're working at right now, just so we can work a little faster. So again, we have a nice smooth animation. If we would just do, we don't even need to preview the whole thing. We could hit, you know, N on our keyboard to set the end of our work area bracket. Then I'm just going to hit Shift 0 to preview every other frame for those first few seconds. And you can see we have a nice subtle motion. It's not too fast, it's not too slow, it's just kind of chilling there and going. So next on our list is actually to start coloring this. So this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to right click down here, and I'm going to do new, and I'm going to do a new solid, and I'm going to make this solid a orange color here. So we're going to deal with this orange color. We're going to drop that below our tile. And then we're going to go to mode, and we're going to change this to screen mode. Now screen mode gets rid of all of the black. Just a real quick reminder of your modes. Screen mode gets rid of all black values. Overlay gets rid of all gray values, and multiply gets rid of all white values. So it's all based on grayscale, and everything that's similar to it. So if we would pop up open here, all the ones that are similar to screen here are all based off of getting rid of black, and all the ones around multiply are based off getting rid of black. Same with overlay, and then these last ones all have to do with luminance and color values. So now we kind of have a colored background that we like a little bit better. We actually could go in here, and maybe we want to, instead of just doing a straight up color, maybe we do generate and we do a ramp. So we do a little gradient here. So let's hit cancel. Let's do this black color. Let's make this our orange tone, and then maybe the white let's do to a really light red. And you'll see how this kind of comes together in a minute, but kind of like how that fades off at the bottom, gives it a little bit more something in it. Now the next thing I want to do is actually texture this. I want to give this kind of a feel of an old wallpaper. So over on the web, I went and found some different textures over at Design Shared. This came through Google Reader, and this was 20 free high-res grunge paper textures. So there's a ton of different great textures here, and I ended up using this last texture here. I thought it was a really nice fit for this. So let's jump back over to After Effects. And let's import this into our project. So we're just going to import, and I got that texture there. And so let's just take this, drop it into our timeline, and now let's just rotate this, and we're going to just kind of scale it to fit our scene the way we want it to. So we can scale this down a little bit, but I don't really like these dots in the picture. So I'm going to scale this up because we're not going to animate this. So we're only going to animate the actual tile. So I'm just going to kind of scale this up to get rid of the dots so that we don't have anything too noticeable like that dark spot there in the background. We're just going to have that. And then now I can go in and I can throw this into some different modes and see what it looks like. So we could try multiply, which actually looks pretty good. We could see what screen mode looks like, which is a little too bright. We could go to like color burn, which looks pretty good too, but I think multiply is going to be our right choice, and this is going to give us a really nice textured feel. Now we could say we're done. I mean, this animates and it moves up into the corner, but you know, and it loops properly, but we really want to take this to another step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my wallpaper comp to the composition button, and it's going to create a new comp. And right now it's called wallpaper 2. I'm just going to name this master. And that's my master wallpaper composition. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a vignette, because vignettes always look nice. So we're going to do a new solid, and I'm going to do like a dark orange solid, and let's make sure it's still set to orange, and hit OK. And then again, vignettes are real simple, so we're just going to double click the ellipse tool. We're going to switch it to subtract, and then we're going to flip down the mask options here. We're just going to feather this out and take the expansion and move that back. So now you can see we're starting to get, you know, a nice little vignette there. And again, we can go in and throw this into some different modes. If you hit Shift plus or minus on your keyboard, it'll toggle through your modes. So we can go back and say, you know, maybe we want something that's a little bit more burned in looking. So maybe classic color burn, or we could go look and see if there's anything else that, you know, looks nice. The last thing is this motion kind of looks a little, I don't know, looks a little still. It's just too plain. It's just too linear, all of that kind of stuff. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually add one more effect to my wallpaper composition. So we're going to do right click, we're going to do distort, and we're going to do CC lens. Now this is going to give us a lens effect. And so I'm going to take my convergence and I'm just going to take that down. I need to actually take my size way up. So I'm going to take my size up, and then we can take our convergence and mess around with that a little bit. And we're just going to give it just a little bit of a rounded look to it, so the sides are just a little bit bigger. So now if we go in here and do N on our keyboard, and we're going to do Shift 0, you'll see as that motion's going, we have it, let's zoom in a little bit more so you can see that a little better. So as that motion's going, you can see it kind of gets bigger in the top corner here, and it's a little more normal size in the center, so it just gives it a little bit more focus to it. Now if we wanted to go back over here and change our speed, maybe this isn't fast enough for our liking, we could, you know, move this out and go to maybe a -300 and a -600. And now this is going to move a bit faster, so we can again go check out our final. So I'm just going to hit 0, preview every frame of the first few seconds of this, and you know, we got a little bit faster moving background there. Now I want to show you real quickly how easy it is to change this out and alter this pattern to make tons of different variations really quickly. So as you can see, I've gone in here and I've imported a couple new tiles that I went and created. So we're going to go over to our wallpaper comp. We're going to select our tile layer, and then we're going to alt drag this on top of our tile layer. And what that does is it replaces that with your old layer. So this is a really easy way to do replacement. So now we have a brand new wallpaper pattern, and we have the same exact animation, which most people won't notice that the animation's the same. They will notice that the color is exactly the same. So we can go to our orange overlay and we can maybe change the color of that to, let's say, a purpley color, and do something that's a little bit more, vibrant looking, maybe with some blues or something like that. Just a hint of another color in here. And then if we wanted to get rid of kind of the tan tone of this texture, we could do a couple different things. We could do color correction, and we could do hue and saturation, and we could do colorize. So we can go through and mess around with the colorize wheel here and find something that fits this scene a little bit better. The other option we have, so maybe we like that. Maybe that's looking pretty good. We can go back to the master and see what that looks like there. The other option we have, we can get rid of that effect, and we can do color correction and tint. That's going to make it black and white, and so we can go back to this comp and it looks pretty good. So it's an easy way to go through and change all those things out. Hopefully you learned something today. If you have any questions, or you want to find this project file or any of the links to the websites we used, check out the show notes at cmd.tv/122. You can find all of that stuff there, and happy After Effecting. Well, this week's inspiration comes to us from Port City Church, but if you want to find more inspiration, make sure to head over to cmd.tv/inspiration. We actually just hit a milestone of 100 morning motions, so we're posting those 5 days a week. Every Tuesday through Saturday, we're posting a new morning motion, as well as every Monday with the episode. We always have motion graphics in there, so 6 days a week there's motion inspiration. But this week's is from Port City Church. Now, I was looking through their Vimeo page the other day, and I came across Man School. And Man School, it has the chalkboard play chart for football on it, and I was like, oh, this could be some cool animation of things happening and that sort of thing. And I went and played the video, and I was totally floored. Not a whole lot of motion graphics going on. I mean, there are some, but it wasn't this MoGraph piece. It was this amazingly well shot and acted video that I don't even want to try to explain, so just check out this amazing video.
You call that a block? You need to get out of that skirt and start playing like a man, boy. Do you even know what it means to be a man? I bet you believe being a man's about being tough. You think you're tough enough, son? Maybe you think it's about making it in the big leagues. Everybody knowing your name. You better check yourself, boy. Oh, and I know you like the ladies. Why, that's what being a man's all about. Get out of the gutter, son. You think manhood's about adventure, don't you? Taking risk ain't even half of it, sissy. Maybe you want to be a hero. It takes a real man to be a hero. Do you think you know what it means to be a man? Think again, boy. Now get back in the game.
Well, this week's freebie is 3 different pattern backgrounds that I created. So if you don't have After Effects, you can go download these at the website. Hopefully you'll find these useful. You'll find them in widescreen and in full screen, WMV and MPEG-4 on the website for download. So make sure to download those, as well as tell other people about them. And if you want to find other downloads, make sure to head over to cmd.tv/freebies for a whole lot of other downloads. You can find all of these downloads in the show notes for today's episode at cmd.tv/122. Well, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Church Media Design TV. Hopefully you guys learned a little something today. Hopefully it wasn't too much After Effects for you, but just enough. Next week we're going to be jumping out of After Effects and doing some other things. So if you're getting sick of After Effects, we're going to be jumping on to some new things and new territory, but just got to love making some motion backgrounds here and there and showing you how to be creative and thinking outside of the box. Hopefully, you know, maybe there's some things you're like, oh, I could make that into a motion piece, or I never thought about using this for that. So I really wanted just to open up your mind to those kind of things. If you have any questions or comments, the best place to do that is on the show notes, cmd.tv/122. You can leave your questions and comments there. Also, you can find me at twitter.com/cmd.tv. You can find me at facebook.com/bradley.zimmerman or our show page of facebook.com/cmdtv. Also, you can always shoot me an email, brad@ChurchMediaDesign.tv, but I would encourage you to leave your comments and questions on the website so that I can be helpful to everyone when I answer them there. So thanks so much for tuning in, and as for me and my favorite bobbleheaded friends, we're saying see you later.